Hello and welcome to Mind Shifters Radio. I'm Tim Hayes. I'm your host for the first hour. And today is Thursday, January 7th, 2021. As always, we're grateful to everyone who joins us here today, whether you're listening live or listening through the archives. As we spend another couple of hours teaching and supporting people in using and building their skills with the most powerful, effective, efficient, and accessible tools I've learned in my over 46 years of doing therapy. These tools are gratefully available absolutely free at whyagain.org. If you go to that website and click on the red and white bullseye, it will take you to a page where you can download and read Chapter 24 of Dr. Michael Ryce's book. His book is titled, Why Is This Happening to Me Again? And that chapter of the book provides a narrative description of the primary tool in this work. That tool is called the Reality Management Worksheet, sometimes called the Reality Management Wake-Up Sheet. And it's a tool that I've been using quite effectively over the last 16, 17 years to improve my quality of life. Anytime I have a negative emotional state, anytime I have a recurring negative thought, I can pick up that tool, and it helps me map out what it is that I'm actually doing with my thoughts and my emotions that is producing the results I don't want, the negative emotion. And what we know in this work, what we observe over and over again, and what science helps us clarify quite specifically is each one of us is actively creating our perception of the world in each moment. And anytime I create a perception of the world that leaves me generating a negative emotional state, the most useful application of that awareness is to assume that I am somehow distorting actuality, distorting my perception. And if I can clarify that perception, restore myself to calm, restore myself to gratitude or peace or compassion, I will see things differently, and I will function at a much better level. So we're encouraging people to apply this tool in their lives so they can function better, see things more clearly. If you go to that web page and click on the red and white bullseye, not only can you download and read Chapter 24 of Dr. Michael Ryce's book, but you can also download the actual worksheet itself. One click, download the PDF, print it off and use it as often as you'd like. You can also go to your app store and type in the three words, Heartland, Aramaic Forgiveness. Heartland, Heartland, Aramaic, Aramaic, and forgiveness. By the time you start typing forgiveness, you'll probably see the glowing heart icon. You tap on that icon and it will give you completely free and access to a completely free and private app that contains the Reality Management Worksheet process. It contains a copy of the Dragon Klingon game, which is a great way to introduce these tools to even younger audiences. And it contains an abbreviated version of that worksheet process. You can also click on a link and download a whole host of audio files of shows just like this one that serve as a tutorial for how to use this work. We encourage people to do that soon and often, and then give us a call at 563-999-3581 if you have any comments or questions related to the process, how to apply it more effectively, or have questions about understanding the dynamics, how and why it works, why it's so effective. That tool was developed somewhere in the last 40-some years by Dr. Michael Ryce, and it's been through lots and lots of iterations and changes and integrations of other work, and it's rooted in A Course in Miracles and the understandings that come from A Course in Miracles, and it's rooted in understanding that comes from translating the oldest known copy of the New Testament directly into English, which is called the Khaburis manuscript. And so as we start this 2021 year, we have decided to go through the Course in Miracles lessons, one each day. It's a fairly simple process, and we're on day 7. So today's lesson from the Course in Miracles is very brief in its actual lesson. It says, I see only the past. I see only the past. The discussion of this idea is particularly difficult at first, yet it is the rationale for all of the preceding lessons. It's the reason why nothing that you see means anything. It's the reason why you have given everything you see all the meaning it has for you. It's the reason why you do not understand anything you see. It's the reason why your thoughts do not mean anything, and why they are like the things you see. It's the reason why you are never upset for the reason you think. It's the reason why you are upset because you see something that is not there. So today's lesson is, I see only the past. And as it acknowledges right here in the first paragraph of description, this is going to be quite difficult, particularly difficult at first. It goes on to say, old ideas about time are very difficult to change because everything you believe is rooted in time. And it depends on your not learning these new ideas about it. Everything that you believe is rooted in time. And because it's rooted in time, it depends on your not learning anything new about time, not learning to look at the world in a new way. Remember, as we've introduced these lessons are about helping us learn to question things differently, perceive differently, and have a different experience of life. It's not an intellectual exercise we're engaged in. It's an actual practice that will usher us into an entirely different experience of the world and ourselves. It says, look at a cup, for example. Do you see a cup, or are you merely reviewing your past experiences of picking up a cup, of being thirsty, of drinking from a cup, of feeling the rim against your lips, or having breakfast, and so on? Are not your aesthetic reactions to the cup based on your past experiences? How else would you know whether or not this kind of cup will break if you drop it? How would you know about this cup except what you learned in the past? You would have no idea what this cup is except for your past learning. Do you then really see it? Look about you. This is equally true of everything you look at. Acknowledge this by applying the idea for today indiscriminately to whatever catches your eye. Spend a few minutes doing this in the morning, a few minutes in the evening. Your eyes land on something and say, I see only the past in this pencil. I see only the past in this shoe. I see only the past in this hand I'm looking at. I see only the past in that body. I see only the past in that face. The last instruction is do not linger over any one thing in particular, but remember to include everything. Don't specifically exclude anything. Glance briefly at each subject and then move on to the next. 3 or 4 practice periods, each to last about a minute or so, will be enough throughout the day. I see only the past in this computer screen. I see only the past in this bottle of hand sanitizer. I see only the past in my reflection in the mirror. So, along with this, reading the lesson, we've agreed to go through Pam Grout's book, Course in Miracles Experiment. And her lesson number 7 says, maximize 60 seconds of every moment. And she quotes Mel Brooks, who said, know thyself. Oh, good, she says, you're still here. Yesterday's lesson has a tendency to irk the newbies. Yesterday's lesson is, I'm upset because I see something that is not there. And she says, this lesson tends to irk the newbies. They tend to get plugged in by the Course's seeming suggestion that things like Sandy Hook, elementary school, and the Holocaust are illusions or holograms. It doesn't quite seem right, one reader pointed out, to ignore the fact that people died. Since this relates to Lesson 7, I see only the past, I'd like to share my take on it. When I focus on the past, I ignore the astounding love and grace of right now. When I truly experience this moment, which is unique in all the world and has never happened before, tears roll down my cheeks. It's that beautiful. I often don't notice it because I see only the past. So it's not about ignoring tragedy. It's not about ignoring what's possible. It is about what's not ignoring what's possible in this very moment. It reminds me of the story of a pair of celibate monks. While crossing a river, they noticed a beautiful young woman struggling over the rocks. One of them quietly put her on his back and carried her across. The other monks silently stewed about the indiscretion as they continued their journey. That's against our vows. We're not supposed to touch female flesh. Finally, unable to bear it any longer, he questioned his comrade, who replied, I set her down 4 hours ago. It seems you're the only one still carrying her. By now, you know the drill. Look around and repeat, I see only the past in this candle, in this vase, in that notebook. 3 times for a moment each should suffice. In this moment, anything is possible and everything is here. I myself don't want to miss it. So that's Pam Grout's take on this lesson. As I accept the fullness of this moment, I'm not excluding anything. So, area code 954, you're in the air. Who do we have?
Thank you. Good afternoon. Happy New Year. This is Nene Ortega.
Hello, Nene. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, always such a pleasure to listen to the radio.
So how can we support you today?
Well, I just want to comment on that it's a new year, and the past year, I've, in spite of all the transitions and on all the readjustments we had, I'm grateful that I was very able to have a lot of more time to go within, to restudy, to revisit the teachings, and revisit and reread my notes, and this has been wonderful for me. And I've been also watching a lot the DVD of The Purpose in Life. And
Purpose,
I get
personal
inspired.
Power, and commitment?
Yeah, personal power and commitment.
Commitment.
Yeah, beautiful. You know, listening and watching the DVD 30 minutes, taking notes, studying the notes, next day watching, slowly as in a class. And it's been really wonderful, fantastic. So I got inspired by other groups also for wellness and spirituality. And so I'm going to be doing some meditations of the Aramaic inspired in this work. I'm going to do the first one this coming Saturday in Spanish, but I will have the following week another one in English. So this is a wonderful gift. Things of the past, things of the present, and wonderful teaching. But I'm happy and imbued in connection with possibility.
And so when you say you're going to be doing that, are you offering it for people to join you online or
yes,
in person? What's happening?
It's going to be through Zoom and Instagram and Facebook. I have the link for Spanish. And then when I have the link for English, I will send it in the chat room and I will send it to Michael, so it could be available for everybody. It's a free meditation. It's going to be 30 minutes. The meditation is about 15 minutes, but the other, it's about expressing my gratitude and also talking a little bit about the Aramaic work. So that's what it is.
All right. Well, I look forward to hearing more about that. And
Yep. Happy
Happy New Year to you.
Happy New Year. And also, Dr. Tim, one of your phrases that I wrote down from one of your shows, and it's still present and it's still alive and with a lot of meaning, is when you say that doing a worksheet, doing this process, allows us to navigate through the trauma. And that's why we do one again and another. We do the forgiveness many times, the forgiveness process. But I think it's so true. With one worksheet, you don't end the forgiveness. You have to do again and again as many as you need for that specific goal. And I want to tell you that I keep that in my mind and in my heart each time I do one worksheet.
Well, I'm glad that's useful for you.
Yep.
Very glad that's useful for you. Anything else to share with us today?
Yeah, well, in reference to the New Year's, I was triggered a little bit on sadness. I've been working with that, and the thought is that I was not able to be home for Christmas. And then, yes, that will be me asking your support to heal that layer of sadness that is linked or associated with being away, being separated.
Just breathe.
Yeah.
And there's certainly at this time, we have many, many of our fellow human beings are isolated and separated from their family and friends. So you're not alone. And I support you in doing as many worksheets or targeted journaling sessions with the Mind Shifter tool as is needed to unravel that, because as you do, you benefit everyone. You open that energetic pathway.
Okay, and I'm ready for the Mind Shifter.
Well, the Mind Shifter would simply be, it's safe and healing for me to be completely isolated from my friends and family, even on the holidays.
Wow. Excellent. Well, the first thought was chaos.
The first thought was what?
Chaos, and chaos. Everything falling apart.
Exactly. And so that's it. There's an association in your mind that says, I was talking about this a little bit yesterday, that you have created a special relationship between yourself and your family. And to be clear about this, what that means is you've created a dynamic of thought within yourself that says you cannot be happy unless your family is with you or in a certain place or acting in a certain way. And your first hint to where that connection is in your mind is in your first response. That means chaos if I'm not with my family. So the more you explore that, the more you can see the false nature of that belief. Because the core of this work is that you're whole and complete just as you are. Nothing of value can be taken from you. Nothing of value can be added unto you. You and every other being of brilliance and light, every other person that you'll ever encounter, is whole and complete as they are, as are you.
Mm-hmm.
Somewhere in your mind, you have downloaded a series of events and interpreted them to mean that unless you have family around you, it's going to be dangerous, it's going to be chaotic, it's going to be fill in the blank. There's a whole bunch of other negative things that you might encounter as you continue to do that mind shifter, that targeted journaling. And the more you uncover the word associations and the beliefs that you have downloaded, connected to the thought of not being able to be with your family, the more you can dismantle them. Because the truth is, you're fine and they're fine. You're whole and complete at that fundamental level, at the level of your essence, and they are whole and complete, whether they can be with you. So as you spend time doing that journaling, you're likely to come up with a series of associations and connections in your mind that lead you to believe you can't be okay, or all hell is going to break loose and chaos is going to happen if you can't be with your family. And the more you can shine the light of your awareness on that, and then perhaps do some reality management worksheets about it or some EFT tapping and breathing on it, the more you can release the energies that are tied up in those false conclusions.
Excellent. Very well. Wonderful. Thank you.
You're entirely welcome and deserving, and I look forward to the next time you feel like giving us an update. Blessings.
Yes, yes. And by the way, it's my 10th year anniversary this week
with
with
this work?
Ryce. Yes. Amazing.
10 years, huh? Excellent.
Yes. Yeah.
Well, congratulations on sticking with it for that long.
Thank you.
All right. Take care. Blessings.
Blessings.
So our call-in number is 563-999-3581. If you call that number and press 1, we can have a conversation. How can we support you? What's on your mind? I know it's kind of a slow time. It's kind of a boring time here in the United States. Everything's just, smooth sailing, and there's been no disruption in anybody's lives over the past few days. So I can understand if nobody wants to raise a hand and talk about any of the issues that might be going on, because there really isn't much going on. But if you do have any kind of a reaction to what's going on that's less than loving, if you do want some support dismantling that, we'd be happy to feels that call and help you in any way we can, applying these tools, shifting your perspective, learning to apply the Course in Miracles lessons to that very situation, whether it's something that you heard someone else go through in the past day or two, or something that you've gone through in the past day or two. Maybe you've been listening to news reports and getting agitated. 563-999-3581. If you call that number and press 1, it'll put a little question mark by your phone number, and I can announce you by your area code. I thought I would mention that today, just before the show, I was able to do another interview with Dan Hostetler, who is the director of the Above and Beyond Family Center on the west side of Chicago, which provides absolutely free outpatient substance abuse and counseling services for its clients. And you can find out more about that at ANB, just the letters A, the letters N for Nancy, and the letter B for boy. ANB dot family, or I'm sorry, dot today, TODAY. So it's not .com or not .org, it's ANB, the three letters, ANB dot today, TODAY. And you can get all kinds of wonderful information about this fabulous program that's only been there about, 6 years since its inception. And it's a powerful program, a lot of evidence-based work, and a lot of acceptance and respect provided for people and their families who have substance abuse issues. And they're so well run that they provide this very high quality work to people without charging the residents directly anything. Susan Bingham, is this you?
It is. Hi, Dr. Tim. Well, I was sitting
Welcome.
here. Thank you. And I realized I should press 1 because the word ass showed up in a crossword puzzle recently. I know that's a funny connection, but I have busted out laughing so many times by the fact that I thought I had read S, the word, the rest of HOLE. And the fact that I told Tim Bingham, I said, this guy said that, and he's a monk. He said, no, he couldn't have said that. He couldn't have. He did. And then Dr. Tim corrected me, and I thought, what is it about me that I really want to use that word, that I think I see it? And when you ask the question about what's going on and who appears to be the instigator of it, the word pops to mind so many times. So it seemed very funny that it popped up in a crossword puzzle. Strange nudge. In any case, I love this lesson, but my question is, do we ever see anything without seeing the past? Now that we've been, encapsulated in the body for a period of time.
Not with our physical eyes.
I say more.
Well, what more is there to say? You asked, do we ever see anything that isn't the past? And my answer is not with our physical eyes. Why? Because our physical eyes are just antenna. And they just pick up energies. And what they're picking up is energies, mostly light, that have bounced off of some object. And so by the time it gets to our eyes, it's not even, it's not that moment. It's the next moment. The extreme example is that when we look at stars, we look up in the sky and we look at stars, what the pictures that we're able to see with our telescopes and our eyes interpreting those are pictures of the way this was days, weeks, months, years, or centuries ago, because it's taken so long for that light to travel that distance to be picked up by our antenna, whether it's the antenna of our eye or the antenna of our telescope.
Okay, I understand. So
the next piece is when you look at the Anil Seth video, there's a piece that's tucked away in there where, and for those who may not have known, you can go to YouTube and type in Anil Seth, A-N-I-L is his first name, S-E-T-H is his second name. Type that in and search for Anil Seth or search for, hallucinating perception, and there are some wonderful videos that he's done about the science, the research they're doing on perception. And one of the pieces that's tucked away in that video is that the percentage of information that goes into making up the picture that shows up in our mind that comes from our eyes is a fraction of the information that goes into the picture. Far more information comes from parts of our brain that are not related to the optic nerve. Far more information goes into every image I create in my mind that comes from my past, my memory of past images, the meanings that I have interpreted and downloaded associated with past images. And if you need to do it, go back and listen to that video again and watch for the part where he says how much information from my eye goes into making up the picture that my mind shows me. And it's a small percentage. Most of the information that goes into every image that my mind shows me is coming from my memory of past experiences and my judgments and interpretations of those past experiences.
That makes total sense.
Now that's the hard science answer to people who want to be argumentative about this lesson. Now, I know that there are a lot of people who would say, well, what difference does it make that the light bounced off of that object sometime in the past? It's so short a period of time that it takes light to bounce off of an object across the room to get to me that it's irrelevant. It might as well be this very moment. But we're just talking about that's just one way to point at the actuality. And then here's this hard science that lets us know that every time I formulate a picture in my mind and my mind tries to tell me this is what's going on outside of you, the vast majority of information that's going into that picture in my mind is coming from my past experiences, not from the optic nerve feeding that part of my brain. So I can only, and it alludes to this a little bit here in the lesson. It says, when I look at this cup, how would I even know anything about the cup unless I had an experience in the past? How would I know that it might break if I drop it, if I hadn't seen a cup drop and break before?
Right. So I was trying to think of a way to get, with my present body and eyes, to get to a place where at least a partial appreciation of the fact that I'm looking at everything from the past. And the only thing I could think of is having taken a trip to Europe when I was in college, a summer trip to study over there. And I remember, although of course they have streetlights and they have roads and they have all the things that we look at and recognize, and so we know what they are from previous experience. but there also is a sense of complete newness and a whole feeling tone that goes with it of a kind of delicious, a little bit scary strangeness. And I know that's worksheet material and stuff, but to me, that's the nearest I can come to being a new baby, just born and looking around, never having had past lives, I'm assuming, coming totally new into this realm and looking around and not knowing anything, and yet not being afraid, but being full of expectation and feeling safe. I've just been trying to get myself to the point that my present body, with my present eyes, can experience what it is to see something completely new. It's sort of like when you repeat a word, a known word, over and over and over again until it loses all its meaning and it becomes a thing. It just becomes a weird blob of sound.
Well, yeah, and it doesn't even have to be a new word. It can be any word, an old familiar word.
Any word. Yeah, any word. Right.
So look at it this way. It isn't about what you're using to look as much as it is about the filter in your mind. And we have been trained to think we need to figure things out. We need to crush it down into a few syllables that we can label it and understand it. And so it's a conditioning of our thought that has us looking at things through the lens of, oh, I know that. Oh, I understand that. Oh, I'm safe because I understand that. Oh, I'm familiar with that. Oh, I know what that's all about. And so it's a filter of thought as much as anything else. And that's why we encourage people a lot in this work. You've heard it quite a few times on this internet show, to learn to live in the question, to learn to live from direct observation and questioning. Question everything I see. Question everything I think I believe. Now, in the beginning, it's such a foreign concept that my mind says, well, that's ridiculous. So I say, all right, I don't have to question everything all day. I don't have to live in that absolute questioning state every day all the time. However, as it talks about in the Course in Miracles, A New Beginning lesson that Michael has a DVD on, he pulls out that part of the Course where it says, you know what, we understand that it's very difficult for humans, the way you've been conditioned, to admit you're wrong. So we're not even going to ask you to admit you're wrong. We're just going to ask you to acknowledge when you don't like how something feels.
Right.
Right. So whenever you have a negative emotional state or a recurring negative thought, then step into that childlike wonder and say, gee, I wonder if there's a different way to look at this. Because I don't want to admit I'm wrong, but I can admit I don't like how this anger feels, or I don't like how this sadness feels, or I don't like how this hurt or confusion feels. So I can just begin there. I don't have to set myself up for failure by saying I must live every moment in absolute questioning and observation, because that would be like trying to turn the aircraft carrier, this instant, rather than realizing, hey, there's a lot of momentum here. This is a big mass of energy moving in one direction. There's a lot of inertia going on here, so it's going to take a while to turn this thing. But we can turn it. The same thing with our formulations of our filters of thought. We can learn new ways to approach life. We can learn to live in the question. We can learn to put on a filter that says everyone's doing the best they can in each moment with whatever resources they have. We can learn to put on a filter that says, as these lessons in Course in Miracles have been asking us to acknowledge, I don't know what this is for. I don't understand this.
Well, you asked the question to get us to call. And you said, what about all, there's nothing going on here. Everything's pretty calm. Nothing to be concerned about. No, I mean, you really put out the bait there. And I've, of course, as all of us have probably been doing, is noticing, at least if not going into full-out dudgeon, high dudgeon, we're aware that we're feeling a lot of strong feelings about what's going on. And the lesson being applied has been very hard to apply. But what you say about just stop and ask yourself how it feels to feel the way you feel, that is really helpful. Right there. Helpful.
I'm glad you think so. I had a session last night with a young man. He's maybe 32 years old.
Mm-hmm.
He has a brand new baby. He's a, high-functioning, very bright, up-and-coming young leader in his corporation, and he's working from home like so many people with coronavirus. And he started the video session and said, "Oh boy, I'm just watching the entire democracy I live in collapse." And,
right.
and you could see the pain in his face.
Yeah.
And I said, "How do you mean that?" And he says, "Well, here's the situation. I'm sitting here. I've got these two. I forget whether he said he has two or three. He has more than one computer screen or monitor set up for his work computer. Just normally that's what he's got. A lot of times these jobs these days, they've got, two or three big monitors, like a situation room on a person's desk. So he's got two or three of those for work, and then he's got his personal laptop set up with the news channel. So while he's trying to work, he's trying to monitor everything that goes on at the Capitol. And I asked him, I said, "Well, are you a part of the Capitol Police Force? Are you a part of the response team that's supposed to be securing the Capitol?" And he goes, "Well, no." I said, "Okay, then why do you have that on?" Especially during work. So the primary thing that I use with people in therapy ever since the coronavirus hit, and for decades before this, but especially since the coronavirus stuff hit, is I ask people to pay attention to how much of their energy they spend focused on things they have absolutely no control over. And I ask them to observe that the first and most powerful consequence of my focusing my mind energy on things I don't have any control over is I will feel out of control.
Mm-hmm.
The more energy I spend focused on things I can't control, the more I feel out of control. It's just like breathing. That's just what's going to happen. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. It's a law of nature. If I focus on things I don't have control over, I'm only aware of the things I have no control over. So if I notice that this is happening and then I've got a negative emotion, the simplest shift to something I have control over after I've been introduced to these tools is to pick up a worksheet and fill it out and list the negative emotion I'm having and the thought I'm using to create it and the part of my mind that tells me that this, that, or the other thing has to change in order for me to feel safe or happy, and work through the worksheet process. Now, at least for the period of time that I'm doing the worksheet, I'm focused on something I have some control over.
Right. Yeah, there's that whole thought that if I don't watch it, then I won't know what's going on, and I'll be even less in control. Now, mind you, we don't have a TV and we don't watch much. But the little bit that we watch, it's either on our computer or our iPhone, has been, nothing special going on, as you say.
Yeah,
just
no big
another
thing.
Day.
Capital under
Right.
siege, yeah, stuff like that.
So,
right, but the point is, it's happening. I don't need to be in denial of it. If I'm part of the response team, If I'm part of the D.C. police, if I'm part of the Capitol security, then I should be paying attention. That's in my life right now. But if I'm 5 or 6 hours drive away, and I'm not part of a National Guard response team that might get called into action, then what am I doing watching and letting it get me all bent out of shape? Right? It's not getting me bent out of shape, but I create the fantasy that it's getting me all bent out of shape. What am I doing with my mind energy when I do that? And all we're calling ourselves to question in this moment is, do I like the results I get when I do that?
Right.
If I like the results I get when I do that, it's a free world. Go ahead. Spend your mind energy any way you want. It's one thing that comes over and over again in the way of mastery is they talk about how free will cannot be usurped. So you can spend your mind energy in worry. You can spend your mind energy in anger and rage and judgment. You can. And there isn't anybody, including the Creator as far as we know, that can or will stop you from that.
Well, then, circling around and applying this lesson to an event that has so many tentacles, so many meanings for so many people, and is so invasive in our news media right now, it's just a huge exercise, but all of our reactions have to do with past. This is not a new event.
And it's not happening anymore.
Is that right?
It's over. It's over. It's done with. Right? I mean, it's not happening. What's happening right now? Where are you right now? How is your heart beating right now? How is your breath moving right now? How are your feelings of love or tension or fear flowing in your energy system right now? That is what is far more beneficial for me to focus on than some events that happened yesterday or the day before or 5 minutes ago that I have absolutely no control over. The thing I have control over is my response to it.
Yeah.
So let's say that I have this idea that, here's this political situation going on, and I'm a citizen, and I have rights, and I should do something. Okay, so what is it that I should be doing if I'm not a politician, if I'm not actively a member of Congress right now? Well, maybe I want to write a letter to my senator and congressman and voice my opinion about it. Okay, write the letter. Think about it carefully, do your tapping and breathing, calm yourself down, do the worksheets so you're in a loving, calm space before you write the letter. Why? Because then the letter is going to be far more beneficial for you and anybody else who might read it, and then send the letter, and then get on with your day.
Yeah.
From a space of calm, from a space of satisfaction, knowing you've done what you can. But, so many of the people that I work with are stuck in the cultural cycle of feeding. It's like if you ask for a sip of water and somebody brings you a fire hose and shoves it in your mouth and turns it on. That's what's happening with the social media and the news feeds and and the ubiquity of our connection in our smartphones and our laptops and tablets. And so is it beneficial for somebody who wants some water for me to shove the fire hose in their mouth and turn it on? No, it's not beneficial for them. It would probably kill them. It certainly won't help them. There's nothing healthy or nourishing about that. So it's the same thing with the news. Last night I was moved as I got home at the end of the night to to reach out to my sons. I've got 2 sons, and they're 30 and 31 and a half years old, and so I just sent them a text that reads, "Thinking of you lovingly. Remember, there are always far more good people doing loving things in this world at any moment in time than any, quote, bad, close quotes, or disruptive thing you hear about on the news. Love you. Good night."
How nice. Good daddying.
Well, good personing, right? Good focused on what you have control over. So why would I send that to them? Why would I send that to them?
Because you're probably pretty sure they're...
Well, that's right. I had an urge, right? That was it. That's all. And now I've done it. Now I've reminded them. I can't be there in person to give them a hug. They're not 5 years old. I can't, give them a kiss and tuck them into bed at night. But, I had a day full of patients who are, railing against this or bouncing around with it and struggling with it. And I was moved to think of them again last night as my sons as I was going to bed. I thought, well, I'll just send them a quick note to remind them what I tried to teach them as we were growing up, as they were growing up, that there's always far more going on in the world that's good and loving and creative than there is destructive.
That's wonderful.
And then, as soon as I sent it, I felt like, okay, I've done what I can. Maybe it lands for them, maybe it doesn't. So hold on a minute. We've got a few minutes left, and we had a couple people put their hands up. Area code 760, you're in the air.
Hey there. Hey. I just wanted to jump in there with Susan and you. This is Ann in Florida. And Susan.
Yeah.
So I want to take issue with when you mention the word and you're talking in the beginning of starting, this whole thing, your perception of it was that everybody is thinking this. Just so you know, I wasn't. Anyway, I've done the same thing, include always, never, that kind of stuff. So I just went. So what triggers was that I haven't been watching the news, even though I do have a TV, but I'm, practicing not looking at that. So I just turn it on for the weather occasionally. And there was this news alert popped up, right? So then I got caught up in it, as some people, as you were saying, for 2 hours, switching back and forth to several channels, and they all had similar stuff. And when I realized, but I was eating as well, so I was doing at least one other beneficial thing. And I realized when I looked at the time, I go, wait, this is ridiculous. Why am I spending, like Dr. Tim, you were just saying, time watching this? And what caught my attention about the time and everything was when I was watching the replay of one of the parts where people were dressed like they were and taking pictures of themselves in front of the line of police that were getting ready to, enforce the curfew. And I go, wait a minute. This whole thing is just about they want to be on TV. And that ended my whole thing. So it's like you said, well then, okay, I'm done. Anyway, I just wanted to throw that out. That was my perception.
All right. Anything else?
No. I was triggered earlier when you were talking to Nene, and I don't know if you remember this, but from the emotion code, I just happened to reread or look at that, I don't know, months ago, but you were talking with Nene about something about having what she needed. Maybe I heard that
being
wrong.
whole
I'll have to
and complete.
Yeah,
being whole and complete, well, just the way she is, yeah.
Right. That triggered something that I'd seen on the introduction to the emotion code where, and correct me if you've heard this because I'm just kind of paraphrasing it, where a husband was as he was dying on his, getting ready to transition, said to his wife at his bedside, wait, let me find it. Oh, when you pick your head up off the pillow each morning, you have everything you need. And I started crying at that whenever I saw this was months ago. And I go, oh my gosh. And it just reminded me of what you were saying today. It is true. I have everything I need. And so I'm working on that. This is my second year from my husband passing, and I'm working on me more. And where's my perceptions? Anyway, so I cherish all your support and, the intensives and stuff like that. And so I just needed that reminder today. I hadn't been on the radio show for a week, and I knew you were doing the Course in Miracles. And it was just perfect timing to hear that and be reminded. That's right. I don't need to take this other stuff and everything. And I agree. Everything is from the past, except for this moment that I'm talking right now. So thank you. Appreciate it.
All right.
Thanks,
You're welcome.
Susan.
Blessings. 847. Is this Mary?
It's Mary. Hello. Hi, Tim. Just a quick comment. Susan, I love it when you're on. Sometimes you can just vocalize things that I am not putting words to. It's just wonderful. Thanks for your participation on the show. It's always great.
Thank you.
I guess I just wanted to, sure. I wanted to say I've been watching all this coverage, and somehow watching it makes me feel better. That sounds really good. Now I need a worksheet. But it is, I feel better being informed. I don't know why. I feel like I don't know how to explain it. But anyway, I find that I feel better that I'm watching and knowing what goes on. But it occurred to me today that this is one of those things I never thought I'd say. But, Tim, when we've talked in group about when Dr. Ryce had talked about, what's the worst thing that ever happened to you that now leads to the best thing in your life, I guess I finally see kind of how this would work. To me, watching all this right now, I see more people coming together today and late last night, and that I don't know how else this would have ever worked out. Something had to happen to change what was going on, and it had to be nasty, I guess. But I look at it as this is going to be better going forward, and it's just one of those weird things where I don't know. I guess it had to happen to lead to better things. It just popped in my mind.
Well, and if that is a thought that brings you comfort, then go with that. Get the comfort any way you can.
Definitely. Yep.
All right. Well, we're out of time. I thank you for that call, and thank you, Anne, and thank you, Susan. I'll mute you, and we'll get ready for Jeannie Ryce and Michael to take over. I'll remind us all that we come from love. We're made of the stuff we call love. We actually are love, and everything else is false. Welcome, Jeannie Ryce.
Thank you. Thank you. Good conversation. Thank you for reminding us all. Appreciation.
All right. Have a great show.
Thank you. So welcome, everybody, to the second hour of Mind Shifters Radio.